A little orphaned girl possessed nothing in this world except her ragged clothes and a single crust of bread. Stepping alone into the freezing winter countryside would soon test the limits of her boundless generosity. Would she survive the bitter chill after surrendering her final, meager protections? Join her perilous walk through the darkening forest and witness the profound magic of true kindness. The unforgiving wind howled across the barren fields as she began her solitary journey. Her parents had passed away long ago, leaving her entirely adrift. Left completely alone in a harsh realm, the fragile child trusted deeply in the benevolence of the heavens above. She walked with quiet faith beneath an overcast sky, holding only that small piece of stale bread. Bitter cold seeped through her thin garments with every step she took toward the distant woods. Frost cracked under her small, bare feet. The vast landscape offered neither shelter nor comfort to the wandering soul. Before she had traveled far along the frozen dirt path, a frail, older man appeared from the thickening mist. His hollow cheeks and trembling hands painted a picture of absolute desperation. The poor soul blocked her way and begged for something to eat because he was starving. The sweet child felt profound sorrow pulling at her heavy heart. She handed over her only piece of bread without a second thought. May God bless this food and bring you comfort. Those warm words left her lips as she gently placed the crust into his dirty palms. Pressing onward, her empty stomach rumbled beneath the growing roar of the winter gale. Hunger gnawed at her, yet her spirit remained untamed. Snowflakes began to drift lazily from the iron-gray clouds as she encountered a weeping toddler by the roadside. The small boy rubbed his freezing ears while crying out that his head was bitterly cold. He looked up with tear-filled eyes. She immediately pulled her woolen cap from her own head.
I think this will help.
Giving it to the shivering boy, she offered a gentle smile. She told him to keep his head warm and trust that the wind would soon pass. He wrapped the rough wool securely over his brow. The little orphan continued down the frosty trail with snow weaving into her exposed hair. Every gust of wind now stung her bare scalp. The temperature plummeted further as the afternoon shadows stretched long and dark across the snowy meadows. Another young child huddled near a frost-covered stone wall. The little girl wore nothing to protect her chest from the biting winter air. Tears streamed down the freezing girl's face as she pleaded for something to cover her shoulders. The orphan did not hesitate to remove her warm outer bodice. She draped the thick fabric over the stranger's trembling frame. Assuring the child that she would find her way safely home, our brave wanderer stepped forward, clad only in her skirt and a thin undershirt. Icy needles of frost pricked at her exposed arms. Deeper twilight crept across the landscape as the dark outline of the great forest loomed ahead. The biting frost now coated the ground in a layer of slippery white ice. A fourth traveler sat weeping at the edge of the looming tree line. This poor soul lacked any skirt or dress to block the relentless, freezing wind. The crying child begged for any scrap of clothing to survive the terrifying night. The orphan untied her skirt and let it fall. Wrapping the long garment around the desperate stranger, she whispered that the heavens would watch over them both. She stood shivering in merely a thin cotton shirt. Her legs shook uncontrollably in the freezing air. The suspense is at its peak. Before we discover the little orphan's fate in the frozen woods, join our community so you won't miss what comes next. Pitch black darkness swallowed the little girl completely as she finally stepped under the ancient forest canopy. Towering pines blocked out whatever faint twilight remained in the evening sky.
So cold.
Absolutely no one could see her hidden within the deep woodland shadows.
Shivers persist.
Suddenly, a faint voice echoed from the thick brush, pleading for a shirt to ward off the deadly cold.
Oh, God!
The unseen beggar wept terribly into the lonely night.
I can't breathe.
She paused. The orphan reasoned silently that the dark woods hid her entirely from the world. Surely she could surrender her final piece of clothing without shame. She pulled the thin cotton shirt over her head and handed it to the voice in the dark. The fabric slipped from her fingers into the unseen void. Now she stood entirely bare against the freezing breath of the winter storm.
It's so
Her small body trembled violently under the monumental weight of the frozen silence. The cold bit into her skin like angry teeth. Yet in that very moment, the heavy clouds high above abruptly parted. Brilliant starlight flooded down through the pine branches in magnificent silver beams. The sky broke open. The countless stars shimmering in the night sky suddenly tore loose from the heavens. They cascaded downward like a magnificent rain of glittering light. The forest illuminated with impossible brilliance. Every falling star that struck the snowy earth transformed instantly into a heavy silver tailor. The coins landed with a soft, melodic ringing sound against the ice. A wondrous sensation suddenly enveloped her shivering frame. Though she had just given away her last shred of cloth, a completely new garment now covered her skin. This beautiful dress was spun from the finest and softest linen she had ever felt. The incredible fabric radiated a deep and comforting warmth.
Oh my.
It chased the winter chill entirely away from her bones.
You're safe now.
The orphan knelt upon the glittering forest floor. She carefully gathered the massive pile of gleaming silver coins into the folds of her miraculous new dress. The heavy silver clinked musically against the quiet backdrop of the silent woods. Her pure heart had surrendered everything to those in need. Now she possessed enough wealth to never experience cold or hunger for the rest of her days.
They're all real.
She filled her linen pockets until they could hold no more. She carried her shimmering fortune out of the forest and walked bravely into a bright new dawn. True wealth flows endlessly to those who give with an open heart.